Rise of the Beast early access. Alright, well, we're here. About to watch the movie. Hello, strange creatures of the internet. It is I, Mr. Tryhard C, and I just got to see Transformers Rise of the Beasts a few days early because I paid a lot of extra money. This video isn't a full review just yet. I'm planning on making one, although I might not, considering my current uploading schedule track record. This video will mainly contain my early first reaction while I'm still kind of on the hype and in the moment and remember pretty much everything that happened in the movie. This is just a first thoughts video. And there probably will be some spoilers, but I'll give you a heads up when that happens and you can click off the video if you need to. This movie feels almost like kind of a mixed bag for me, because it exceeded in areas where I wasn't expecting it to, but also didn't do everything I thought it was. For instance, I don't know. At the moment, I think it's probably better than most, if not all, of the Bay films, and it kind of rivals Bumblebee, but at the same time, it doesn't quite carry the same magic that it did, but it still leagues above pretty much everything else that's come before, especially with the Terracons being surprisingly good villains, especially Scourge. The Maximals and the Autobots were pretty much what was the mixed bag. Bumblebee specifically exceeded my expectations, because I didn't think he could do as well after his solo movie, but they treated him pretty well. And yeah, I'm not sure what else to do before I get into spoiler territory, so I'm just gonna go straight into it. If I find anything else, I'll just edit it in. Don't know why I'm telling you this. I probably won't keep it in if that's the case. Real quick though, but because I spent extra money and saw it early and did an early access event, I'll probably put some photos here overlaying this, but I got some special free merchandise from this, and they gave this to everyone who was in there. Got a Maximal patch, and this poster of Optimus Primal with the phrase "Till all are one," which is kind of a big phrase used in the movie, so let's just get into spoiler territory already. The plot's pretty basic, if not a little long-winded, and it takes a little bit of time to start up, but it's understandable given how much the movie has to deal with. The human characters were pretty good, but the Autobots and Maximals are where it starts to kind of get complicated. By far, probably my favorite in the film was Mirage, which I expected him to be my least favorite. He was somehow just entertaining, fun, lighthearted, everything I thought Bumblebee was going to be in 2017, even though I wasn't a Transformers fan back then. Why am I saying this? Bumblebee, like I said before, was surprisingly interesting, and this is your final spoiler warning, by the way. They do a fake-out death with Bumblebee early on, and he doesn't show up until like the third. They kill him in the first act and then bring him back in the third act with the power of the transwarp key. I was surprised they used the transwarp term. I'm glad they remembered it existed, at least. RC, I thought, was pretty basic, but pretty good. And an enjoyable character to watch. Kind of reminded me of, like, a less loud version of the Earthspark RC. Pablo Wheeljack was about what I expected. So give or take with that what you will. It's pretty much the general consensus in the community where, like, he was entertaining, yeah, but taking the name of Wheeljack was a little messed up. But he's entertaining character, but it's kind of sad that they use this popular character's name for it. And probably the most interesting Autobot to me was Optimus, because of course he is. They kind of mixed the two biggest Optimus incarnations in animated and TFP, besides G1, and melded them all together into this weird multi-universe Optimus type character. He's got the doubtfulness of animated, the guilt of Prime, the big dad energy of G1, and the ruthless murderiness of Bay vs. Prime, at least in the third act. Dude, I'm gonna say, Scourge's death in the film reminds me a lot of a combination of Dark of the Moon Megatron and Megatron, or The Fallen in Revenge of the Fallen. I called him Megatronus because of Prime Wars, because that's how broken I am. But I really enjoyed watching Optimus in this movie. It's almost didn't feel like I was watching Optimus. It felt more like Orion Pax almost. The Maximals is where I start to get into the unexpected territory, where they didn't treat Airazor like I thought they would, but it was an interesting character to use the name with. Optimus Primal was kind of really similar to Optimus Prime, which I guess you could expect, but I was really glad to see Ron Perlman did a pretty good job, especially after the dumpster fire that was the conclusion to the Prime Wars trilogy, but you can just chalk that up to Rooster Teeth, of course, because they made Mark Hamill sound bad, so of course they made him sound bad. I also liked the kind of mantle of leadership that was put on him at the beginning of the film. And I will say, the opening sequence of this film is to this what the Cybertron scene was to Bumblebee. It was the one I thought they should have spent a little more time on, given us maybe more Maximals in the background. And instead of having this random older gorilla Maximal that I thought they called him Ape Face, but it wasn't Ape, it was something like Ape Back or something, I don't know. But yeah, he was fun to watch. He, Optimus, and Scourge were all fun to watch. The three main big characters that they wanted you to focus on were interesting. Airazor was just a good, well-written character. And I'd say the biggest disservice this movie does is to Cheetor and Rhinox. Cheetor, his voice doesn't really fit him. It's kind of the Kingdom scenario. He doesn't get much screen time. Rhinox, I don't think spoke once in the entire movie. They just had him smash some dude's head in with just crush his skull with a hammer, run into some people, and yell really loudly. Actually, no, I don't think he yelled really loudly. He just never spoke, and I'm sad about that. Because he's one of the two toys I got, and he's actually really fantastic. And Rhinox is probably one of my favorite characters from the original Beast Wars, probably third to Waspinator and Dinobot, which, going into this, the biggest problem this movie has is trying to set up as much as it does. It sets up too much while setting up too little at the same time. At the end of the movie, they do a G.I. Joe connectivity thing. So I'm guessing the recent G.I. Joe reboot and these new Transformers reboots are now in one universe. Even though there was the Bumblebee Megatron movie toy, there were no Decepticons nor no Predacons in Rise of the Beasts. Scourge collects the insignias of various enemies he's killed, like the other Maximal and Bumblebee in the film. And there was a Predacon and Decepticon logo on his shoulder, which I was hoping would lead to something, but it didn't. So it set up some things, but it didn't follow through on some things. And I guess that's just kind of the general feeling of the movie, where it's a chaotic mess, but it's really fun, and it's just a good time. I think part of it is because I saw it on such a big screen, and it was just an entertaining thing to watch. This is kind of full circle for me, because the first thing that got me into Transformers was the Bumblebee movie, and now we're here about 5 years after that, and I'm just kind of thankful for it, that everything's come full circle. Overall, the experience itself was probably my favorite part of it, because the music really helped as well. It was a well-written theme that was really reminiscent of Steve Jablonsky's work in the Michael Bay movies, which is probably my favorite part of those movies. So when Arrival to Earth started playing at the end, yeah, you bet I cried. So you bet my brother definitely looked over at me and saw me crying in the theater. And in the credits, it listed that Unicron's theme from the '86 movie played at some point. I never noticed it. It's possible it happened during one of the Scourge scenes or something, but I just never noticed it. And also, as a Sonic fan, I appreciate the few gaming references there were, even the incorrect Game Boy Bowser moment in there. Overall, I love it for the same reason I love Transformers Armada. It's a fun, interesting experience with a well-done story, but also enough flaws that'll just bring you out of it, but entertain you at the same time. It's the good kind of distracting. It'll make you realize what a good time you're having, especially if you're seeing this with another Transformers fan, because if you're spotting all the Easter eggs, Like, at one point, Mirage is going through alternate modes, and there was the Formula One car. You can bet I about peed my pants during that. And with all the pretty good designs considering what they were working with, probably Stratosphere was the biggest noticeable Michael Bay reference. Kind of with Stratosphere being the biggest kind of Michael Bay-esque figure in this film. It was just a fun movie experience, and that's more than I can say for a lot of movies I've seen recently. This is the most fun I've had in the theater in a long time, and I've seen the Mario movie, Guardians 3 in the past year, and this probably trumps this experience just trumps them both, probably because I was in a Dolby theater, so hearing Arrival to Earth in with that power, yeah, that was really, really awesome. So if you can see it that way, then please do. Stephen Caple Jr. himself said, watch it on the biggest screen possible. I can vouch for that. It needs to be experienced properly in order to enjoy the story. And Unicron is probably my favorite part of it, now that I think of it. He's not in the movie very much at all, but where he is, he's commanding, overwhelming, just like he is in the original. He directly threatens Optimus, and the first scene with him eating the first scene with him eating the planet is really reminiscent of the opening of Transformers in the movie. I saw that in theaters for its 35th anniversary, and I just got the same exact vibe. So if you're looking for a movie with the energy of all the films you love, films, movies, TV shows, cartoons that you love, go watch it. It's an amalgamation of everything you love. So yeah, that's my early, immediate thoughts on Rise of the Beasts. So go see it yourself. Have a good time. Bye.